Okay, so hi, third grade friends. I wanted to go on to the next part in your packet. Looking at task number 2, and we're actually looking at the text Elizabeth Leads the Way. So that will be in your packet. I was able to find it eventually. I kept digging. And we're going to start by just reading the story for the gist of it. Okay, so get an idea, familiar with the story and the events in the story. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is go back and think about the author's point of view on this story, okay? And we're going to think about the point of view from the beginning. How do they feel about something at the beginning, the middle, and the end? And how do you know about it, okay? So that being said, go ahead and grab in your packet the text of, let me find it. There we go. Elizabeth Leads the Way, and it'll look like this so that you can follow along. And again, we're reading the first time just to get the gist of it. Know what the story was about. Okay, so as we read Elizabeth Leads the Way, it's by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and the Right to Vote. So written by Tanya Lee Stone and illustrated by Rebecca Gibbon. So think about what good citizens do. We're going to read about how a good citizen, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, fought for women's rights to vote. All right? So think about that as we read. So what would you do if someone told you you can't be what you wanted to be because you are a girl? What would you do if someone told you your vote doesn't count? Your voice doesn't matter because you are a girl? Would you ask why? Would you talk back? Would you fight for your rights? Elizabeth did. All of these things used to be true back when Elizabeth Cady was a girl. All of these things might still be true today if Elizabeth hadn't led the way. She was only 4 years old the first time she heard someone, a woman, say life was better for boys. The woman had come to visit Elizabeth's new baby sister. What a pity she's a girl. How could anyone look at a little baby and feel sad? What could be wrong with being a girl? She was 13 years old when her father, things in my way. When her father met Katie. Go away. Here we go. Is this in my way? It won't go away. Sorry, friends. She was only 13 years old when her father, Judge Katie, told a woman whose husband had died that the farm she had spent her whole life working on would be taken from her. Without a husband, the law stated nothing belonged to her. Elizabeth was horrified by this unfairness. She said that the law should be out of every book. Judge Katie told her that wouldn't change anything. Preposterous! The law is still the law, and only men were allowed to change laws. So she decided right then and there that she could do anything any boy could do. She jumped over high hurdles on horseback, and she rafted across a raging river. Proving them wrong. She won a prize for being the best in Greek studies. Her father was so proud, but he worried about his strong-spirited, rule-breaking daughter. You should have been a boy. He knew how much easier her life would be. But Elizabeth wasn't interested in easy. At 16, since colleges could not let girls in, Elizabeth begged her father to send her to a girls' school to continue learning. While most of the young ladies were getting married, washing dishes, doing laundry, and having babies, Elizabeth was studying religion, math, science, French, and writing. Several years later, Elizabeth Cady met Henry Stanton. He was an abolitionist speaking out against slavery. He understood how unfair it was for people not to have rights or power. He did not laugh when Elizabeth talked about freedom. He did not laugh when Elizabeth said all people should be able to live life the way they chose. And he did not laugh when she told him she would add his name to her own, but she would not give up hers to marry him. So Elizabeth Cady became Elizabeth Cady Stanton and had babies, cooked meals, washed dishes, mended clothes, and did laundry. She loved her babies, but she did not love cooking and dishes and mending laundry. One day, her friend Lucretia Mott invited her to lunch. Lucretia had always shared Elizabeth's ideas about the things women could do and would do if only they had the right. The other women at the lunch stared at them too, or shared them too. Elizabeth got fired up. She proposed they hold a meeting. A meeting would gather together lots and lots of women from all around to talk. But what would they talk about? There are so many things they needed to set straight. Married women couldn't own property or even the money they worked to earn. Elizabeth had learned long ago that only men could change laws because only men could vote. That was it. That was the one thing that could change everything. If women could vote, they could help change all kinds of laws. This idea was so shocking, so huge, so daring. Elizabeth's friends gasped out loud. If they were flabbergasted, what would other people think? Well, Elizabeth did not waver. She knew voting was the only way to make a difference. Her battle cry for the right to vote rang out. Have it we must. Use it we will. Even her Henry thought she had gone too far. Think about Elizabeth's ideas, okay? How do people feel about them? Things to think about. But on July 19th, 1848, when Elizabeth arrived at the meeting place, she saw for herself that she hadn't. The small church in Seneca Falls, New York, was filled with hundreds of people. Elizabeth read aloud what she had a few of the women had written together. Their declaration of rights and sentiments challenged the idea from the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal. When she was finished, she looked into the faces of the crowd and waited. The room was silent. Then a rumbling began. It grew louder and louder and louder as people argued whether or not women should be allowed to vote. So think about, guys, before we go on, how did Elizabeth try to win the rights of women? What did she do to try to win their rights and get their rights? One of them is the right to vote. Let's keep reading. Word of the meeting spread like wildfire. Newspapers across the country scolded Elizabeth for her boldness, but other women joined in her battle. The idea of women having the right to vote began to buzz in the ears of people from Maine to California. Elizabeth had tossed a stone in the water, and the ripples grew wider and wider and wider. Many people said Elizabeth must be stopped, but she was unstoppable. She changed America forever. Okay, so that's our story on Elizabeth Stanton, and Elizabeth leads the way. So here's your next task with this same story, okay? I want you to go back and I want you to think about Elizabeth, and I want you to think about the author's point of view, okay? So on the next page, you have an organizer, okay, about author's point of view. Okay, it looks like this, all right, in your packet. And you're going to think about how does the author feel about the topic and events in the text. So pick an event in the beginning of the story, okay? Pick an event in the beginning and write down that event here, all right? After you've written the event here on this box, you're going to, yes, support it with text evidence. So in the beginning of the story, for example, if I say that the author's point of view in the event in the beginning, so that women could not vote and it was unfair, okay, in the beginning. my text evidence could be a fact about how Elizabeth and her dad were having a discussion about women's rights and voting, and that she was mad. Okay, so that's your text evidence that supports the author's opinion. Okay, you're going to do that for the beginning, the middle, and one for the end. All right, so pause this video, go back and reread the story with your family, or watch this video again. Or there's also a QR code you can scan in your packet to have it read to you that way, okay? And we will come back when you're done. Unpause this video, and we will do the last part about the author's point of view here for task number 2. Pause your video and go back and do that now. Okay, so now that we've done that and you've read your story 2, maybe 3 times, again, you know me, and I've told you guys before, it's better to read the text multiple times for meaning and understanding. Even now, as your teachers, when we read stories we read multiple times, there's always something else we learn from them. So it's always great to read again. Your last task is to answer, do you agree or disagree with the author's point of view? So think about the author's point of view in the story, and what does the author overall think, okay, about the women's right to vote, okay? Use details and text and evidence from the story to help determine that. So think about the author's perspective here. Here's an organizer on this page for you, talking about the perspective of the author. You're gonna think about how the author feels. So are they for or are they against it? And how do you know? So that's kind of just there to help you. Up here is where you're writing about the author's point of view. Do you agree with it or disagree with it? So here's the thing, when you're writing this, you need to support your opinion, okay? So do you agree or disagree with the author's point of view? If I agree, I say, I agree with the author's point of view because, and give 1 or 2 reasons. I'd say at least 2 reasons. This goes for 2 or 3. 2 reasons that I agree with the author's point of view. If I disagree with the author's point of view, I still need to support it with at least 2 reasons why I disagree with the author's point of view, okay? All right, you guys got this. You're doing an amazing job. Keep working hard. Take a break if you need to, okay? I will see you guys later. Don't forget to turn in the work that you have completed to your teachers.